What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of That Time in Hip Hop. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. Got the homie Tone.com. What's good, man?
Hey, sip of some water, man. I'm cool.
Yeah, I got some water too, man. Oh, hold up. I just noticed you got a Purple Rain shirt on.
Oh, indeed.
Damn, I might have to step my shirt game up.
Yeah, come on now.
But if you are watching this podcast for the first time, this is a podcast about the history, the nostalgia, and more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture, events, albums, the tastemakers. That means, for people who don't know, the people who made it happen, who made hip hop happen all throughout the years. Is it just an old school 80s and 90s fest? Nah, not at all. Honestly, we don't go back that far sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But hip hop is old enough now where we got a number of years and a number of topics and events that we can really get into this, man. So if you enjoy this program, there's more episodes. This is episode 5, you know what I'm saying? And make sure you subscribe to this channel and share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. If you can't do the video, and maybe, you don't get a chance to watch, but you would sure love to still get the information, you can go to soundcloud.com/hip hop now podcast, or you can just go to iTunes podcast or whatever and look up Hip Hop Now podcast. And on that same stream is That Time in Hip Hop, but the audio version. Because I know there's some people who like, man, I want to watch it, but I can't get to do that. But if you had a podcast that was audio, have it on the go. You can have it on the go. You can have it in the gym, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? You can get this kind of content, man. But again, just know that for everything we're doing, we're just going to keep on going, so you can just binge all of it, because there's a lot going on in hip-hop, and there's a lot that's happened in hip-hop. So stay tuned for more with that. But speaking of a lot going on in hip-hop, somebody celebrated a birthday this week, right, Tom?
Yes, actually today.
Oh, wow.
Ghostface Killah.
Hmm.
And looking back on the history of Wu-Tang and just 90s hip-hop, I would have never thought that Ghostface would be pretty much the face of Wu-Tang in 2018, because ironically enough, when he first came on the scene, you didn't see his face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was Ghostface Killah. He had the mask on, and everybody like, he's kind of ill, but who was there under the mask, man? And who knew he would end up shining? His star would shine so bright, man, this many years later, man. But it's monumental because Ghostface, Dennis Cole, born, is one of the greatest MCs of all time. And, you look at a lot of lists, you'll see that some people have them as top 10, top 15, top 20. I have a top 30 list on IntoTheDome.com, and he's on there. And rightfully so, man. Ghost is one of the dopest MCs of all time. He's a passionate MC, and to me, there's only a handful of passionate MCs where they'll spill their heart and soul on a track. They'll talk about their family and their upbringing, but it'll sound more sincere instead of just merely telling a ghetto story or something like that, man. So, man, cheers, man, to Ghostface Killah, man. What you think about Ghost?
Man, without not really being a fan of Ghost on the Into the 36 Chambers album, I thought he was one of the weaker rappers on there. But once Only Built for Cuban Links came out, started winning me over a little bit, and I was like, nah, like, don't get me wrong, I like Can It Be, but that was just one song. And when Only Built for Cuban Links came out, I was like, damn, Ghost is alright. He kind of standing out, and it's his personality, and he has a body of work to back it up. That's why he has so many fans, and he has a more universal following than most Wu members as far as the solo career, because Raekwon kind of has some of the same fans he's always had, but Ghost is a little bit more mainstream. Like Ghost, even though it didn't make the movie, he appeared in the first Iron Man. You know what I'm saying? The scene didn't make the movie, but the fact that they thought to put him in it, and Iron Man is not like Iron Man or Tony Stark's is his rap name. His name is Ghostface Killer, but he's so widely known by so many individuals, like Max Kellerman from ESPN and HBO, name dropping him as one of his favorite MC of all time. It just shows you, that Ghost has appeal, and when you listen to like Iron Man, Supreme Clientele, and Bulletproof Wallets, and what's the other joint that was dope?
Oh man,
Fish Scale.
Fish Scale.
You Apollo Kids. You go there. None of those albums sound the same because Ghost just so many, styles to the way he does things and approaches and things he subject matter from storytelling, even though it's not always, clear to me at least, the stories, but because it's Ghostface and Ghostface's spin on how to tell a story, it's just so dope, man. So, salute to Ghostface Killer. Happy birthday. The man is still out here doing the damn thing, you know what I'm saying? He did a show in White Castles.
Yeah, I saw that it was him and Donna, wasn't it? I saw that a few weeks ago. To me, it just again shows Ghostface love for the culture, and looking at his discography, man, dude has 12 solo albums and 4 albums, collaboratives of joints. So I mean that's 16 joints of his, not even counting his contribution on each Wu-Tang album. So and his contribution on Raekwon's Cuban Links album. So the dude has a incredible work ethic. He's toured over the years. I got a chance to meet him way back in it was probably 2005 or 6 or something like that, man. I met him at North Carolina Central. Joel Santana was there and Little Brother, the group Little Brother. So we all got a chance to to meet him and stuff. So dude, serious cat, man. I like him. He's serious about his craft too. But yeah, he's been putting in work this many years, man, and that's why his fan base is diverse. He can go overseas to Europe and what have you, and have a big following and a lot of love and stuff. And he's a spectacular MC. He has a great ear for beats. His concepts are ill. So yeah, man, just salute again, man. I'm a big fan of Ghostface Killer, and to me, he has the best discography in Wu-Tang.
Yeah, I think just to elaborate on the one point you made previously about Ghost and like being the most popular member in the crew when it wasn't always that way. That had a lot to do with his solo work because around probably after Iron Man, I think the fade, the star that was Wu-Tang Clan as a group and all the soloists, and we had all the affiliates. I think all of that started to die down a little bit, especially when the Wu after Wu-Tang Forever, I think was the W. Once people started to feel like, yeah, I think the party might be over, Supreme Clientele and puts the whole Wu on his back, and he continued to do it with solo projects, whereas other Wu members stepped away from that traditional Wu sound, stepped away a little bit from RZA. Ghost kept RZA close, kept that Wu-Tang sound, and really kept them alive with that, and made a huge fan out of myself. So, I mean, salute to that dude, man. Happy birthday. Y'all listen to some Ghostface Killer. He got so many albums, like Tone said. I mean, you can binge on his projects because the majority of them are good for the most part. But let's get right into the show. The topic at hand. This dude goes without saying. Everybody knows him. Some people think he's still alive. I don't. But as Tupac Shakur, you know what I'm saying? What'd you say? You say he alive?
No, he's not.
Yeah, right. Tupac Shakur. But we're going to talk about that time in hip hop when he dropped the album Me Against the World. And Tone, I know you got the facts, you got the FitAx ready, man. So just hit people with this info on the climate that surrounded that album and when it dropped.
Well, Music Against the World, Pac's third album dropped on March the 14th, 1995. And, my thoughts is I don't think that there's been an MC or maybe musician, period, who faced so much controversy and almost emotional trauma leading up to a project being released. I mean, I've heard different artists say, my pain and happiness and everything, all these different emotions helped me create a certain type of project and a certain kind of energy in the studio or when I'm writing because I'm spilling my heart on the page. And for Tupac, and we'll get into some specifics at some point in the podcast leading up to this album dropping in record stores, he had like 4 or 5 different life-changing events that happened. I had never heard of an artist facing that type of thing. So I'll just give you an example. You talking about a situation where, Menace II Society is about to come out. He's going to be casted. He gets into an altercation with the Hughes brothers. He has to go to court. He even served, I think, a few days in jail and things of that nature. He had a situation with the cops, the off-duty cops in Atlanta. And he got in a shootout with those guys, and he got off. The charges were dropped because they were kind of crooked cops who had some other. They didn't follow the law the way they supposed to follow it. So he had that situation. He had a situation with the Quiet Studio situation we'll get into, and he also had a situation. Oh man, just it's so many things leading up to the album, and then him being locked up and the album releasing and being number 1 on the billboards. I just had never seen nothing like it, man. Like I said, I'll get into more specifics, man. But you remember that time when it dropped and your thoughts on the album? Because I love the album.
Yeah, like he had the rape charge, and that was happening while he got shot, and he had to go to court like the next day.
That's right.
That's where you get the footage of him being in the wheelchair and bandaged up from the Quiet Studios robbery. I've never and still never seen a build up to an album in that way. Like we've seen guys go into jail and release albums before they went to jail. We've seen guys, have an excellent marketing strategy to lead us to the album, a la like 50 Cent situation. And even like Nas on It Was Written with the whole Nas Is Coming kind of, built some momentum. But Tupac felt like, is he going to even make it? Because between, everything that's going on with going to court and shootouts with cops and a rape charge, then you almost get killed, getting robbed. Then you actually go to jail and your album drop. He is fine in that regard, and honestly, that's kind of it's not the only legacy of Tupac, but that plays a big part in how he's seen as an icon, because he was like one of those true, like the rock and roll stories where you just hear all this wild shit happening while they making this music. And that was just a portion of Tupac's life. So, but to speak about the album, yeah, man, that point in time when Me Against the World dropped, prior to that, like Strictly for My Niggas and Tupacalypse Now, I liked songs, but I never was a big enough Pac fan to be like, I want the whole album, because I was here and there. Like I get around it. Trapped and stuff like that, and Brenda's Got a Baby, but never enough to be like, I'm gonna buy the album. But I remember when this album dropped and I heard several tracks, I was just like, yo, between all the stuff that led up to it and then how much more personal this album is than the ones that came before it, he kind of made me a fan with this album.
Yeah, I think at that time, he had put it all together. And what I mean by that is, I did like tracks on Tupacalypse Now, Strictly for My Niggas, but I didn't like the entire albums. I cannot lie to you, but I did. I became a fan when I heard, of course, Brenda's Got a Baby, with my homies called. Then, of course, Keep Your Head Up on the second album. And, you know, Strictly for My Niggas was a platinum album, and I Get Around was a huge track where he brought Digital Underground back with him because, of course, he started as a roadie with them. But, you know, as far as Me Against the World, the production, you know, he had Easy Mo B on there on a few tracks. And, you know, for people who don't know, Easy Mo B is a hard hitter in New York. He did quite a few songs on Biggie's Ready to Die album. Hardcore beats, man. He's an amazing beat maker. You had this guy named Johnny J who made some beats on there. Johnny J ended up producing most of All Eyes on Me, and God Bless the Dead. He committed suicide years ago. But as far as the album production, the focus on it, I didn't think he wasted any time going right into it. The intro had a reporter kind of talking about everything leading up to the album, all the court cases and being shot and everything like that. It was like a news story. And then If I Die Tonight came on. And If I Die Tonight was very vivid. His flow was immaculate on it. And like I said, so much focus on the album. You had tracks like Lord Knows, where he's really praying for a better life. You know, a death around the corner. He's paranoid almost, because he's like, yo, in the city where we at, we die. You know what I'm saying? And that city can mean anywhere in America. You know, so it was kind of some paranoia there. You know, you had Nothing Like the Old School, which was the B-side of Dear Mama, and Dear Mama was the first single. So Nothing Like the Old School was like paying homage to LL and Grandmaster Flash and everyone. It showed Pac having fun, reflecting about growing up loving hip hop, and most people didn't see that side of Pac. Either they saw an angry side, a battle side, or maybe a real passionate side, you know, but they didn't really see happy, fun Pac. And Old School was that guy. I mean, was that Pac being that person, that guy. So for anyone listening, check out Old School for Me Against the World.
And one note on that too, and I kind of forgot about it over time, that particular track, but that's probably the one track where you can really, like, we all know the facts of where Tupac is from, where he went to high school with, when he went to high school, and then where he ultimately landed. But in that track, a lot of the things he mentioned that aren't necessarily rappers are New York things. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
You know, that I think a lot of people missed. You know, because I don't believe the first time I heard that record, I heard him say, like, you know, remember playing Skelly and knocking niggas out the box.
Yep.
So when I re-listened to it again, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, he was saying a lot of shit that was things that were unique to New York without, you know, just overly saying when I was here in the Bronx or when I was here in Brooklyn. He just talking about old school. And I think a lot of people, you know, who, and we can kind of get into that also a little later, but a lot of people fixated on Pac before he died, that they think that's all he ever was, when he was a number of things. So yeah, man, Old School, that's definitely a joint people should check out.
Yeah, because that song, it shows that people have to remember, and for people who don't know, I mean, Tupac was born and raised in Harlem first, you know, and then he left, and then he went to like Baltimore, and then Marine City out West Coast, and et cetera, et cetera. But Pac is an East Coast dude first, you know, and you know, he just happened to be a chameleon to a degree because he spent time in New York and Baltimore and out in California. So I think Old School just kind of showed that his roots are still New York.
Yeah, and
to this day,
he had a real whack MC name originally, MC New York. I just
yeah.
I just thought that was so lame. Like, really? But I think I like Tupac better. You know, going with your real name, now you got everybody think they Tupac.
Yeah, definitely, man. You know, you know, another thing, I was listening to the album earlier today, and it took me to a song when they called Young Niggas, you know, and that was always one of my favorite songs on the album. Most people probably didn't listen to that song as much as some of the more popular songs on the album. But I want to say something real quick. On the song, he said, "Now that I'm grown, I got my mind on something. Don't want to be a statistic out here doing nothing, trying to maintain in this dirty game, keep it real, and I will even if it kills me." Right? So he says that. Then he turns around and says, "Gang banging, putting niggas in the casket, murder for hanging out in the wrong place at the wrong time." It made me think about the gang banging, the murder, wrong place, wrong time, as I fast forward to Las Vegas just a year later after the album was released, and the whole thing with the Chain, Orlando Anderson, etc. So it's kind of like I felt like it was almost some foreshadowing,
Yeah.
and then he also said, "Put down the gun and have some fun, niggas." And it's like the thing is, because he stayed on a roller coaster, and Bill Against the World is an emotional roller coaster. Some tracks he's shed so many tears, and then the title track, "Me Against the World." Then he turns around and does "Death Around the Corner" or "Outlaws" and these hardcore tracks. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like this roller coaster ride that Pac will take you on. But with "Me Against the World," it felt genuine because it was kind of the lyrics was a result of what he was literally going through and had been through just in the past 24 months.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it one of the best, if not the best, to some people of his albums, because that's kind of what you want from any artist. You want. I mean, you'll take some fantasy if it sounds good, but somebody like Tupac, I mean, Tone already said all the different things he was going through that we know of, and to get him to write down what he feels about those things and put it into song and make a lot of dope records. Like again, like when I heard Tupac did this twice to me in like as far as hip hop fan, and like I think that's the first time I ever heard somebody either rap about it or uh, do so well and be so sincere in what they're rapping about. Like when he had Brenda's Got a Baby, that was something, I was much younger, but that was something I just never thought a rapper would rap about. You know what I'm saying? And he was sincere with it. The way he told the story is on this album is Dear Mama. Like I usually when rappers chose to talk about their moms, it was always from a good place, and or maybe we struggled a little bit, but this was like, to your mom's was like a crack fiend and all of that, and growing up with friends who got mothers who were crackheads and stuff like that. It was just one of those things where it's like, damn, either nobody's ever wrote a record like this as far as every verse in this personal, or Tupac is just touching on things that rappers need to be talking about. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's their life or not.
He wasn't scared. And that is what makes a great artist. That is the reason why when this young man died just a year after this album, which is crazy to think about, because the world came out in 95, Pac was dead summer 96.
Wow.
With 2 more albums after Me Against the World being released before this guy passed away. But I think that his honesty on tracks like this is what resonates with fans, and they feel this connection to him to the point that when he passed away, you're in barbershops and stuff, and people swear up and down that this guy's still alive. They think he's in an island somewhere, man. He can't be dead because we connected to him so much. We just don't want to let him go. You know what I mean? And that songs like Dear Mama and Brenda's Got a Baby and things like this is why we don't want to let Pac go. You know what I mean? Because he was not afraid to say, man, my mom, I love my mom. She's a black queen. She also at some point was a crack fiend and took us through a lot of changes because of decisions that she made. And a lot of the rappers and just young people in the inner city and the ghettos nationwide have dealt with family members that they loved who had substance abuse issues, some type of issues where we didn't face it the way we probably should have faced it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he wasn't afraid to show this vulnerability and it resonates in the love that the culture has displayed for him globally.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I can't really say, and maybe this is just personal opinion, um, but I feel like Tupac did something similar to what LL did. Like I feel like maybe other rappers rapped about these types of things, you know what I'm saying? Or as far as like popular rappers, or maybe not to the extent of bearing their soul in record in detail, um, in their life and the lives of people around them who they love. But when LL did, I mean, like LL was the one who had to jump in that lane to make a record like I Need Love before everybody felt like it was cool to do that, or not even cool to do that, but we need to do that because of how well it worked for LL. And I feel like because Tupac was such a truthful person, and he had so many mixed emotions, he wrote about all of them, and that kind of gives you someone like Kanye. Because honestly, that's what I like about Kanye West as a rapper. I feel like that dude will be honest. He'll be honest about what he's wearing. He'll be honest about his motivations. He'll be honest about his opinion. Um, Nothing. He is almost like he's not hiding anything, and maybe that's what people liked about Tupac versus other rappers.
Yeah,
The fact
yeah,
that they felt like there was truth. You know.
yeah. I think that after him, there was a few people in the culture who, they spilled their soul and heart in interviews and songs, and they have their own following. Yeah, Kanye is one of them. Eminem is one. If Eminem was not afraid to say, "Yeah, I'm trailer trash. So what? Yeah, my mom did drugs. Yeah, Kim did drugs. I did drugs." And so the people that love him resonate with his story. Same with DMX. DMX, an honest cat to a fault. You know what I'm saying? What you see is what you get with X. That's why this is like everybody's cousin. Every time I've seen X in concerts or just around people, when whatever, people gravitate to X because he is real. You know what I'm saying? You what you see is what you get. There's no faking in DMX, and so yeah, Kanye does have that. Like, whether you love it or not, I do think when he says stuff, he believes what he's saying. Um,
Yeah.
Joe Button is another one for me, real quick, where he has a song called Black Cloud. I think it's one of those new mood music CDs that you guys should listen to. I always felt like he was very honest, and people might not like some stuff Joe Budden say, but I never feel like it's shock value. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
always feel like it's truthful. And Pop, man, to a degree, had a lot of different sides, don't get me wrong, but whenever he decided to spill his heart, I think that it was coming from an honest place where he was at that time, at that moment.
Yeah.
And he felt what he said is what he said. But I do want to get into something else real quick. Uh, Me Against the World, during that time in Pac life, some other things happened as well. When the Quiet Studio shooting happened, a few things. Maybe his paranoia or whatever, and everybody seen documentaries and movies about this. Oh, I think that, Biggie and Pac, Biggie and Puff had something to do with it. Well, we know that's not true. I don't, I'm saying that caused some situations where the East Coast and West Coast kind of got a beef reunited again because when he ended up going through Death Row, he ignited what Tim Dog and Death Row had going on way back in '92 with the Chronic, and that's for another whole day. But there was already a semi East Coast West Coast tension several years prior to Pac saying something about Biggie and Puff, which wasn't true. Then he, was warned already about Haitian Jack and Jimmy Henchman. We had dealings with these guys who had real street credibility. He was warned from Biggie and other people, and Pac took a liking to these guys, and Haitian Jack is going on record. You can watch him on interviews now. He's not even in America right now, but he'll tell you Pac was rapping about the life I was living. Pac was infatuated kind of with Haitian Jack's gangster. You know what I'm saying? And he got mixed up in these guys, and it could have got him killed. It almost got him killed. There was a warning to him. They weren't trying to kill him. I don't think they would kill him, but that was a warning that, hey, you said that stuff in that interview about this rape case, and you need to shut up, basically. And he almost got himself killed because he had the mics in front of him, and he was trying to be honest on how he felt. But you had already been involved now with some real street guys, which again, another year later, I think that cost him his life as well. So
yeah, it's unfortunate because um, what a lot of people don't understand about the radio, it's a lot of goons around, and there's a lot of people who there aren't many people who roll by themselves, you know. And I'm not just talking about like bringing your block with you. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you become very popular, you know what I'm saying, or you gotta look, you know, like Drake being in Canada trying to come up or whatever, you know Jay Prince wasn't with him back then. You know he wasn't with him back then. You
exactly.
know what I'm saying? But he with him now.
Right.
You know, and that's
smart.
Exactly. That's smart because there's just a different world. You know what I'm saying? Like I believe Nas said it, you know what I'm saying? The rap game reminds me of the crack game. Like it's pretty similar, and a lot of people go into it thinking it's, you know, the videos and everything else. But I think the one thing, especially around that time, the dude was young.
Yeah.
Like that's what people forget sometimes. You listen to this music, and it sounds like it's coming from a grown man who done lived a full life, who's reflecting on his mama and how this Brenda had a baby when she was a teenager and blah, blah, blah. Nah, this is a young man doing this. So he was, some of the mistakes we made, like in college or in the club or, you know, where we don't have a camera in front of us. This dude is making money. He's popular. Gangsters like him. Women like him. MCs like him. They also, those three dislike him as well from other people. So he's making these decisions as a young man with all of this pressure coming down on him. And it's unfortunate he didn't get the opportunity to really grow out of that. Because I think we would have probably got his best album had he lived a little bit longer, because he would have had some time to grow. And he was already writing like someone who had already grown. I can only imagine what it would have been like. But yeah, man, Haitian Jack, all them dudes that were there in the background of his life, and the whole Quad Studio situation, man, it was real. It was a real murky time. Young and you don't watch all the documentaries, you see the photos and stuff like that. You got to understand, Biggie and Puff and all of them are coming up. You know what I'm saying? We know they know Pac, and then there's did they do it? They know who did it wasn't the East Coast West Coast thing, but it was building. That was the beginning.
Yeah, and I think another thing is very unfortunate. I remember doing the Tupac and Biggie documentary by some guy overseas made it. It's the Tupac and Biggie documentary, and you know they spoke to Pac's biological father. He was like, "Yeah, when my son got shot in New York in that studio, I was at the hospital, and the kid Chris Biggie came up to me and wanted to check on my son, and et cetera, et cetera." So Biggie was at the hospital. You know what I mean? Biggie always says Ludacris, man. Of course, we didn't do anything, you know, to Pac or whatever. See, Biggie was a rapper, but Biggie knew real street situations. That's why he had warned Pac about, hey, watch yourself, dude. Them guys, you know, whatever. So Pac coming out saying, well, hey, why ain't you guys warn me? Well, he did warn you, man. He can't say nothing else because there is a code in the streets. You know, like it or not. Biggie might have heard some rumblings and stuff, but he like, man, I talked to dude already, man. I don't know what else to do because I don't want to get shot. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, Biggie was about 22, 23. He died when he was 24 in 97. So like you said, Meg, the stuff that we did as college students, 20, 21, 20, these guys were living it out, you know, in the entertainment world with just an abundance of distractions and people hanging on to you and pressure. And, you know, as far as like what you said about Pac, we definitely get his best music, but because he would have done some remarkable albums to me because he was a poet already, reflective already, and things like that. And he put as much of that as he could at that time on Me Against the World. And, you know, All Eyes on Me ended up being like a block party. I'm happy to be out. I'm just wild and having fun, even though he did have joints like Only God Can Judge Me Now. And then Machiavelli but straight up, I'm bomb first. You know, I'm
Yeah.
angry. I'm going at everybody. So that's still like the best Pac, because I think the best Pac is an introspective Pac, and I think Million Against the World is his magnum opus in terms of it's his most introspective from the first track to the final track on the album. It's a roller coaster, but I still felt like it's his best piece of work because of the diversity, the different, you had some G-Funk flavor on there, you had some strictly hard West Coast Dr. Dre type flavor, you had some boom bap with Easy Mo B. The hooks was good, man. The guest was most of his own people, like Drama Cyto and all them. Some of his own guys were on there. I still thought it flowed well. Man, I love the album, man. I still listen to it pretty often. And I'm real quick, going back to the song Young Niggas, the end of the song, he's just talking as the guy still singing the hook. And he said, man, you out here, you could be an accountant, man, not a dope dealer. Then he said, man, you could, you out here pimping, man, you could be a lawyer, man. Then he say, you see Johnny Cochran, you know what I'm saying, in the background with the song going on. So it's still showing that whole little thing of, man, be better. There's still opportunity out here for us young black kids. But we gotta take advantage of it. But there also still those temptations against, just like the song "Temptation," for us to do wrong also.
Yeah, and I think the best attribute that that Tupac had was that being introspective, not necessarily positive all the time, but just introspective about whatever he's talking about. Because I think his diehard fans latched on to that more than they latched on to just "I'm a ride on my enemies." The knuckleheads really are the ones who think Tupac is just that. But what drew me to Tupac was songs like "So Many Tears" and "Temptations," and you know what I'm saying, "Dear Mama," "Keep Your Head Up," because I Ain't Mad at You, because they were incredibly relatable. Whether you were going through that situation or not, Tupac is a very underrated storyteller because he tells a real life story as opposed to just telling a story. Like, he doesn't do it in a way that's reminiscent of Slick Rick or even the way Biggie did. He does it through real life situations and things that happened and how it could be better and the consequences of that. It's just unfortunate that it seemed like, and again, the dude was young, but it seemed like he wasn't able to, have that same thing happen in his life. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, dope album. Classic album.
Let me say this also real quick.
Yeah.
There's a ripple effect that happened leading up to at this time in hip hop when Million Against the World dropped. Because, like I said, for the prior 2 years, he had gotten into so many legal problems that he literally spent all of his money, millions of dollars. So he can't post bail. That's the reason why Suge Knight stepped up, because Suge Knight was an opportunist and businessman already. He had already paid Pac for a previous track on the soundtrack anyway, so they knew each other. But he like, look, this guy got the look, the charisma, the story behind him. I'll front that 1.4 million, however, and bring him to Death Row. See, Death Row wouldn't have happened if he wouldn't have gotten all this legal trouble prior, and at some point his money got wiped out. So hip hop changes because Tupac goes to Death Row. He also goes to Death Row with this whole thing of, and it's talked about in the Vibe magazine, of Biggie and Puff and the East Coast and all that. So now you have an East Coast, West Coast reigniting of a war, because Pac ended up going to Death Row with that mentality. I'm going to bomb on the East Coast. I'm going to bomb, hit the MTV Awards. I'm going to bomb on Nas and Mobb Deep and Biggie and Bad Boy and everybody. All of this stuff was very avoidable. So now you got a situation where you fast forward and Pac end up getting killed, Biggie end up getting killed. I still feel like that decision to go to Death Row changed the course of two young men's lives and the entire hip hop culture forever, because I think him not going to Death Row, these two guys are potentially still alive today. So this is a very monumental time in hip hop leading up to Million Against the World, because I felt like his financial situation kind of forced him to get out of prison by all means necessary, and that was going to Suge Knight, who was affiliated with Bloods, who got in the fight with the Southside Crips. You hit Lando Anderson, 2 hours later you're dead. 2 + 2 is 4. What happened with Biggie is in retaliation. There's a lot of different rumors and theories, but my thing is, without that situation, these guys are still alive, and hip hop is totally different.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Like we touched on earlier, if you've been paying attention, listeners, paying attention, viewers, like we said before, the hip hop game, the music game in general is just, and the hip hop game is more like street dudes, and music game is kind of been like the mafia, and that's throughout history. But you have these different people with different interests, and they everybody want to be a part of that limelight and get a piece of that pie. And what you have with Suge Knight, Tupac, Biggie, and Bad Boy, and the East Coast, West Coast thing, and everything that was going on, you have the street mixing with the marketing, mixing with the artists, and ultimately 2 dudes wind up dying as a result. And hip hop is extremely affected, not only through not having Biggie or Tupac here to continue to make dope music, but the way record labels do business. A la 50 Cent getting dropped from Sony. Oh, you got shot, and you get dropped for getting shot. You didn't shoot someone. Someone shot you, and they drop you from the label. Why? Because they don't want no parts of any rappers or whatever that's going to get into any stuff like that. Even after Biggie and Tupac died, any rapper in New York, outside of New York, getting any trouble, the New York newspapers had that rapper on the front page. That never used to happen.
Right.
Ever. But it became big news, you know what I'm saying? And people gobble it up. That's why you see all these documentaries and reenactments year after year. They don't want to even solve those cases because then people aren't as interested anymore. They rather you just dwindle in the mess. But the reality is there's the record industry and there's the street, and they mix and mingle, and unfortunately the street got in the way of the lives of 2 young men. But Tupac's Me Against the World, even though, you know, it for some it may have been the start of the ending, but nevertheless, arguably Tupac's best album is him at the peak of his lyricism and putting together music, man, out of 1995. Definitely go back and check that out. If you haven't heard it in a long time, you know, like myself, not as an album, I hadn't heard it in a long time. And I went back, man, and that is not an album where you skip. I might have skipped one record, like literally. And it's worth it. It's worth your time. So that's one recommendation. But we get to the point in the show where we recommend an album, an additional album in this case, that you go back to and listen to. My recommendation for this week happens to be a mixtape, but it's basically an album. When you listen to it, it's basically an album. It's original production, lyrics, and all of that. And it's Rhapsody's She Got Game. It came out 2013. Featured production. Well, first of all, it was Rhapsody and DJ Drama. That was the mixtape, because y'all know the DJ Drama mixtapes were dope with everybody for the most part. But featured production from Ninth Wonder to DJ Premier to Crisis, rappers that's featured on here, and there's a number of them, from Raekwon to Chance the Rapper. Mac Miller's on here. The song called Dark Nights featuring Wale, sick. Beat is sick. They kill it. Wale kills his verse. Who else is on here? I believe Common is on here. Nipsey Hussle's on here. Fonte from Little Brother and Foreign Exchange, and also Jay Electronica is on here. It's 16 tracks. It's free. Original production and everything. And for those people who heard of Rhapsody when they bought To Pimp a Butterfly, That was your first experience with her. Heard of Rhapsody when you saw, oh, Jay-Z signed this female MC to Rock Nation. Maybe that was your first time. Maybe her first album coming out and it being nominated for a Grammy last year. Maybe that was your first experience. But this mixtape, She Got Game, is the reason why I'm like, yo, she's a problem. She's dope. She's nice. The one thing about Rhapsody that exists on all of her projects is the fact that, like Tupac, she is very honest in her lyrics. She has her rapidy rap songs. That's where it's all about the wordplay and the bars. But she has a lot of records where she speaks from the heart as it relates to relationships with men and women. And I'm not just talking about sexual relationships. I'm just talking about in general, whether that's a sister, a brother, a father, whomever. And that's kind of like, I always used to say this about Rhapsody. She can talk about a boyfriend and not make a male listener feel I don't know, feel uncomfortable. You know, some dudes feel uncomfortable. Like, yeah, they can listen to a record of a rapper that's a dude talking about a chick, but they can't listen to a record about a chick talking about a dude or a woman talking about a guy. But she makes it so you can listen. It's relatable because now you feel like you're understanding what a woman feels. You know, because as men, sometimes if you're one of these women, we kind of like start to shut off a little bit in the brain. You know, me, I could completely blank out. Like, I can't hear shit you're saying now. But Rhapsody just relays her message in such a way that's so clear and calm that you listen. You know what I'm saying? And when she say this dude ain't shit because he wants to do this, that, and the third, you be thinking like, yeah, he ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's her strength. I think that's how she wins over male fans. Quick, the songs that I like off of here as far as my favorites. I like the intro, Song About Nothing. Caught Up is dope, featuring Raheem Devon, R&B. Even though I'm not the biggest Mac Miller fan, I do enjoy that record. It's called Generations. Dark
it's dope.
Featuring Wale is dope. My Song is dope. A lot of Jedi Code featuring Fontaine, Jay Electronica is another dope record. Just a dope female MC. You know what I'm saying? She's more than just the verse on Kendrick's album. She's more than just, oh, she signed with Jay-Z. She has more than this. So you should go back, check out those free joints. I believe it's on datpiff.com. It's called Rhapsody DJ Drama, She Got Game, deluxe version, because it's 16 tracks. You will not be disappointed. What you got, Tom? What's your recommendation for this week?
Oh man, yeah. So mine is Souls of Mischief's 93 Till Infinity. And let me tell you, I remember watching Rap City back in the day, and I saw the video for 93 Till Infinity. I said, yo, it's a dope beat. All them dudes can rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, where they from? Yeah, I'm thinking they from, Brooklyn, Queens, somewhere. They're like Oakland. I'm like, Oakland. I'm serious. I'm like, these dudes from Oakland, California. Because when I think of Oakland, I'm thinking of E40 and Too Short. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even thinking about this type of style and, whatever. But I love the song. And then they had another video for this track, That's When You're Lost. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, they got two dope songs and it's got that boom bap to it. So let me go cop the album. I get the album, man. I'm going through these songs. And I'm like, this is a Tribe Called Quest. You know what I'm saying? Like, this De La Soul. This, it's that vibe, So, the hieroglyphics were like, the native tongues of the West Coast. They were all just kind of underground. They all took a pride in spitting rhymes. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a jazzy album, boom bap. It's a lot of, they versatile with, because it's like 40 guys, man. They all rap totally different. They all got dope voices. I just like the vibe, man. I like the tracks Live and Let Live, man. That just felt like a Tribe Called Quest song. It's a track Live and Let Live. A track called Never No More. That's one of the singles. Never No More is dope, man. Anyone listening to this, when we finish, hey, go on YouTube and put in Souls of Mischief, Never No More, watch the video. if you say you love hip hop and love the underground feel, that tribe feel, get this album, man. 93 to Infinity, man. That's absolutely amazing album. Allmusic.com gave it 5 stars. You know what I'm saying? And all of the other big time publications gave it, 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. Hey, it's very dope, man.
That's one of those albums that unfortunately I do not own.
Oh man.
And I've never heard it in its entirety. I've always heard Songhead. Like, I love 93 until Infinity. I could listen to that over and over on repeat.
That's not the best song on the album.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard. So, we live in this new world now where, I mean, obviously I'm not a kid. If it was still the CD world, I'd just go buy the CD. But, I could jump right off here and get it or stream it on Spotify or some other app. But I'm definitely going to check it out because, first of all, Tone, when he recommends something, the brother knows it to a T. But also, I mean, you ain't the only one who said that. You know what I'm saying? So it's only right that I put my money where my mouth is and support that, regardless if it came out years ago.
Yeah,
because that came out in '93, right?
It came out September '93.
Yeah, September '93. And Rhapsody's "She Got Game" came out September of 2013. We did not plan that.
No, we definitely did not. I didn't even know he was gonna pick that Rhapsody joint. Just real quick about the Rhapsody joint. It's very dope. But I love a song on there called "Never Know" with Ab-Soul and Nipsey Hussle. Man, it's real smooth, and they both came to play. Man, they didn't just get a little throwaway rhymes. Man, both of them did very slick verses. I enjoyed it. Of course, Knife and them got a relationship with Top Dog and Kendrick them anyway, so it was just kind of dope seeing how it started way back, years ago with them doing little features here and there. Because Kendrick is on this track called Genius Remix way back in 2010.
Yeah.
So it was a dope project, man. Raps did a great job.
Around that time, I think 2010, either 2010 or 2011. I think that's when she released what was her first album. I forget the name of it.
It's The Ideal Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that
The Ideal Beautiful.
And that's one of those albums where I was talking about what the relationship between her and men, relationship between her and siblings and other females. Like, she really goes in, man. It's just like Me Against the World. It's just one of those albums where the artist is pouring their heart and soul into the music, into the message, and you start thinking. Anytime you listen to any album and it makes you think, they doing their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, head nodding and getting excited over the record is also cool. But when someone makes you think, man, it's just way more effective because it affects your life. Sometimes it affects decisions you make in life because you can relate, or it's something you never thought of, man. But go check out both of those. You know what I'm saying? Souls of Mischief, 93 Till Infinity, Rhapsody's She Got Game mixtape, man. Dope hip hop, our recommendations for this week. That's going to do it for us here on That Time in Hip Hop. We hope you enjoyed this show enough to share it with people you know would like this type of content. You can also listen to this content via iTunes podcast or Google Play, Stitcher Radio for the audio version, or you can come right here to YouTube and subscribe to the B-Roll Network, where we have not only this show but other forms of hip-hop content, video games, other podcasts about entertainment, politics, life, whatever. Enjoy the content that's for us and by us. And there's meaning behind that also. It's not just football. But behalf of myself, Vegas of Hip Hop Now podcast, and the homie Tone of enterthedome.com, that's ENTERDADOME.com. Until next time, y'all, go out and support real hip hop, fam. We watching you. Word. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.